Next week, on the 12th of June, there's going to be a mammoth voting session going up to midnight, past midnight, even in the House of Commons, and it's going to determine the future of Brexit. On the 12th of June, just a couple of days before the Lewisham by-election, there's going to be a mammoth voting session in the House of Commons, and it's being put forward and pushed by Theresa May. And the reason people are so unhappy it's happening before the Lewisham by-election is because it means there's one less Remain MP to vote. That's how tight this is. Remember, Theresa May's government is hanging in there. It's a minority government, but it's hanging in because the DUP are propping them up with a few votes. But even that's not enough, because Theresa May's got her own party rebels to deal with. So she's relying not just on the DUP, but hoping to God that some people in the Labour Party might agree with her and that people in her own party are actually going to vote with her. I mean, it's really crazy. This could be the end of May's premiership. It could result in a vote of no confidence. It could be the end of Brexit. It could delay Brexit. It could be the end of Jeremy Corbyn because he's having problems, which we'll get into in a minute. This is crazy. This is the maddest time of Brexit so far, so it's certainly going to be an interesting night. Brexit really does depend entirely on this vote in the Commons. But what's happening? So last night, Labour announced that it wants to table amendments to the EU Withdrawal Bill, the Trade Bill and the Customs Bill. Labour says that the government should now be seeking full access to the single market after Brexit with this new single market deal. Some have speculated that this is Corbyn trying to keep hold of Lewisham East, because in the by-election the Lib Dems are making real gains. They're seriously campaigning hard. They want to make this another Richmond. So it could be to do with Corbyn keeping the Remain vote from Lewisham East. It was about 60-70% Remain. But the question is, can Corbyn order his MPs to vote for the European Economic Area Amendment on the 12th of June? Labour's shadow Brexit secretary, Keir Starmer, said on the Today programme, quote, "The difficulty with that, and I think everybody recognises this, is that there are very strong and different views across the Parliamentary Labour Party on that particular amendment. So whilst there's unity on all the others and we will all be voting together, on that amendment we have very divided views." But Corbyn really wants to keep full access to the single market. Well, at least that's what he says. I mean, Corbyn's a Brexiteer and always has been. He was probably a Brexiteer before Farage, I think. He's an old school pro-Brexit type. It just shows what a sellout Corbyn's become. And this could all be catastrophic for the Labour Party. This could split the party down the middle, because you've got some Labour who are trying to maintain their appeal to the working class voters who overwhelmingly voted Brexit, and you've got some Labour who are just so far left and crazy that they don't care what people think because they're not Democrats, they're ideologues. Now, could these Lords' amendments to the bill be passed in the Commons is the question. So Sadiq Khan has encouraged his former colleagues to vote in favour of the amendments, regardless of what constituents think. Nice for him. It's possible that Tory rebels could join forces with Labour MPs and Lib Dem MPs to vote in favour of these Lords' amendments, which would give powers to delay and even stop Brexit. Now, there's just a few amendments I wanted to include here. I won't bore you, but the three important ones I saw was one amendment requires the government to obey EU rules on asylum seekers. No thanks. Another one makes it hard for the UK government to change EU laws that remain in force after we leave the EU. And another one makes it harder for the UK government to change equality and environmental laws from the EU. So all these amendments are about keeping Britain in a stranglehold under EU regulation. And because of the difference of opinion on these issues, because the fact that Parliament really is split down the middle, May could face a rebellion from her own Tory MPs like Anna Soubry. Labour could face rebellions from their own MPs. Corbyn's now endorsing this new single market deal, and it makes it tricky for Labour. And the reason why is 83 Labour peers defied Corbyn's order to abstain, and they voted in favour of the UK staying in the European Economic Area, which resulted in a government defeat. And Corbyn, instead of backing Remainer MPs, has created this brand new proposal that's going to now split the party. People are wondering, where the hell did this come from, Corbyn? Where did this announcement come from? It's a real U-turn for a man who's used to be Brexit, a Brexiteer. Just take a look at this video of those two having a massive row in Parliament.
Can the Prime Minister now tell the House when we will debate the trade bill and when we will debate the customs bill? She's had 23 months in order to get ready for it.
Minister! The right honourable gentleman talks about the state of the negotiations. Before the right honourable gentleman talked about the state of the negotiations. Before December, he was saying that the negotiations weren't going to get anywhere. What did we get? A joint report agreed by the European Council. He said before March we wouldn't get what we wanted in the negotiations. What did we get? An implementation and an agreement with the European Union Council. We're now in negotiation for the best deal for the UK when we leave the EU, and we will get the best deal for the UK when we leave the European Union.
Prime Minister. 3 months we'd had a better answer than that from the Prime Minister. Mr. Deputy Speaker, how can they negotiate in the future interests of people's jobs and living standards when Cabinet members are more interested in putting their own futures first? Fundamentally, Mr. Deputy Speaker, how can this government negotiate a good deal for Britain to defend people's jobs and living standards when they're unable to reach an agreement within themselves?
I bet the EU are loving watching all this bickering and fighting. The 12th of June is going to be an exciting day. It's going to be an era-defining day. It's going to define our future. It's going to define Brexit. And cramming these votes in just before the Lewisham by-election, keeping people past midnight just to do it before the 14th, shows just how close this is. Theresa May doesn't have a majority in Parliament. She relies on the DUP, can't even rely on her own party. Tories face rebellion, and the Labour Party faces rebellion. You know, the only party that's consistent on this are the Europhile Liberal Democrats. That's how insane this whole situation is. Amidst Brexit chaos, the only people with a consistent message are the Lib Dems. What's happening? It's madness, and I find myself rooting for Theresa May. Go on, girl, please get this done. I know I'm probably in the minority here, but I think at this point it's her legacy, and she wants to get this done, and God, she can't, because her own party is not a Conservative party anymore. A Conservative party once would have immediately said no to a European superstate that wants to govern us from abroad with unelected leaders. A Conservative party would say no, but people like Anna Soubry and half the rest of the Tory party are potentially going to vote against Theresa May and screw up Brexit. The 12th of June is a landmark day for Brexit, and it could go many ways. Brexit could move forward. Brexit could be delayed. Brexit could be stopped. Theresa May could lose her leadership. Jeremy Corbyn could lose her leadership. Jeremy Corbyn could form a government. Who knows in this mad post-Brexit world, or even pre-Brexit world if you want to think about it that way. The 12th of June is the landmark day for Brexit, and I, for one, I'm pretty terrified about what's about to happen. If you like that and want to see more, remember to like and subscribe and download the new Rebel app from the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store.